Jo met her soulmate Dave when she was 17 and he was 23.
I was working as a lifeguard and he came swimming. It was on a Sunday and he asked me the following Thursday and I said, I'd like to go out tonight. We saw each other every day since that day, yeah.
4 children, and 18 years later, Dave and Jo were living a busy, happy family life.
He was very much very hard-working, and it was all about family for him.
In April last year, Dave went for tests at hospital after coughing up blood.
He came out and rang me up and said, I've got cancer. I was, no, don't be silly, it's not funny. Why would you say that? Of course you haven't. It was like, I have. And of course he came home and I was convinced it was early. I was like, it must be, because you've got no symptoms, you're fine, they must have got it early.
But just 3 weeks later, the couple were called to hospital.
And I remember so clearly the doctor saying to him, I'm sorry, it has spread to your lungs, there's nothing that we can do. And Dave went, so I'm going to die. And he went, yes you are. Just as blunt as that. And your whole world implodes. Everything just at that moment implodes. Of course, Dave said, how long have I got? And he said 12 to 18 months with treatment and 3 to 6 months without.
At first, they decided not to tell Matthew, Ben, Adam and Ariel the news and set about making the time that David had left count. The couple decided to hold a 16th anniversary church blessing.
That day was about creating a very special memory. Everybody looked so happy on it. There were times in that church, don't get me wrong, I was imagining the next time I'm in this church will be without you. And I had to push that back.
But just 2 weeks later, and only 4 months after he was initially diagnosed with cancer of the esophagus, Dave and Jo were dealt another devastating blow by doctors.
They said that the treatment hadn't worked and they changed his prognosis to 2 to 4 months. And you try and imagine next Easter, you're not going to be here. And your life, and you can't imagine it. You can't imagine a life without that person.
Jo now knew she had to tell the children.
I never wanted them to look back and say, why didn't you tell us? Ben just was, I think, in shock. He just stared at me like I had 2 heads, like I was insane. And I think Matthew and Adam were more vocal, and Matthew left the room. Ariel asked some very difficult questions and just kept saying, I don't want Daddy to die, I don't want Daddy to die, over and over and over again.
Dave had always maintained he wanted to die at home and that he did not want to go to a hospice. But as his condition worsened, caring for him became difficult.
For me, I felt from his diagnosis to that point incredibly alone. You feel like you're the only person in the world with young children of your age going through this horrible situation. He was very nauseous, couldn't eat, a lot of pain, and he was like, no, I'm not going. I'm just like, okay, well, have a think about it, the offer's there. And he'd got to a point where he was in so much pain that he couldn't see the point of continuing.
Jo persuaded Dave to at least go for a meeting at the hospice.
We were very surprised when we drove onto the grounds. It's very lovely, very calming. It was the best thing we could have done for him. He came out a changed man. He came out on his birthday, and he'd gone in unable to eat and in constant pain, and within 20 minutes the pain was gone, and all he did was question what was next on the menu. A hospice doesn't mean that you go there for your last few days of life, you go there to die. That's not what it's about.
And a key thing that hospices do is to discover what's important to somebody, not what's important for them. So what was important to Dave was to be at home with his wonderful children and his lovely wife, and he had total confidence that she would care for him, and she did.
Thanks to the support of the Hospice of St Francis, Jo was able to nurse Dave through his last few weeks of life at home.
When we knew that time was very short, what we thought was going to be days, I had to sit the 4 of them down and tell them that now was the time to... Excuse me, sorry. I said to them, you need to go and tell him you love him now and say your goodbyes now while he can still hear and understand. and yeah, had them all on the bed with him and told them all that he loved them.
He died in February this year at home with Joe by his side. Joe still finds support at the hospice, attending events like the Light Up a Life ceremony, which continues to help the children find a way through their grief.
I've got a locked tin, and it's basically a memory box, and everything that I've ever done since he has passed away, I put in the box because it's like showing him what I've been doing.
I remember him with my bed cover and everything, and with my room, because when I went to bed, he always tucked me in.
All our family was out except Mum, and Dad was throwing snowballs at us.
12-year-old Matthew has used music as his way of remembering his dad, composing a track in his memory.
I wrote it because I just wanted a place to, let out my feelings, and I hope he would be very proud of it and happy with me.
We are now learning and living a new normal. When I imagine my future, I imagine me and the children getting that bit older. And for me, it's making sure that they have everything that they need. They know that they're loved, and they do know that.